Welcome back to Hardball. Let's bring in our roundtable tonight. April Ryan is the White House correspondent and Washington bureau chief for American Urban Radio Networks. Norman Pearlstein was editor-in-chief of Time when one of its reporters, Matt Cooper, testified before the grand jury in this CIA leak case. Norman's also the author of the book Off the Record, The Press, the Government, and the War Over Anonymous Sources. And Patrick J. Buchanan is an MSNBC political analyst. April, let's take a look at, I've never met you before, let's take a look at your interesting exchange today with Tony Snow.
It's the American people owe some kind of apology from someone in this administration for the leaking of a CIA person's name, personnel's name.
Yeah, it's improper to be leaking those names.
But yes, it's improper. So you say someone in this administration owes the American public an apology.
I'll apologize.
Tony.
Done.
No, it's not. And that's flippant. That's a very flippant way of doing something very serious. It's a very serious matter that was very flippant.
April, back to you. What did you make of that rather quickie-poo response from Tony?
He wanted to get out of it fast, Chris. This is something that they didn't want to deal with, and the president's hands were forced. And it's a political hot potato that they wanted to run from today. And Tony did his best, and he fell in the trap.
In other words, Tony knew nothing about how the president decided to grant this clemency, but he only assumed it was politically necessary to keep the Red Hots happy.
Something like that. But, you know, it's interesting, Chris, the centrist Republicans are very upset about this. The president, basically, listening to some of my sources and people who are close to this administration, close to the president, they're saying the president has totally gone away from what he intended when he first came to Washington. So he was talking about clearing the air, changing the atmosphere, and indeed, this is somewhat changing, going back to what he wanted to go away from. So it's just a bad scenario all the way around for the president.
You could say he's changing the atmosphere. Scooter Libby's going to get 2.5 years of fresh air now. Let's go to Norman Pearlstein. Your assessment of this political situation when right now with the president allowing his top intelligence guy for the vice president chief of staff to walk.
It's a cover-up. The important charge was obstruction of justice, and as Patrick Fitzgerald indeed said in his summation to the jury, there's a cloud over the vice president, and that cloud exists there because of Libby's obstruction of justice. That's why he was never able to really assess the seriousness of this case. And as for commutation, while it means he's out of jail, it also gives Libby the ability to take the fifth in the civil case involving Valerie Plame.
Because?
Because he is still appealing the conviction, and as long as that appeal goes on, he does not need to testify in a civil case because he can say that he would incriminate himself if he did so.
And the president's got his hands on a big orange carrot as well, right, Norman? He can give the guy a full pardon if he plays ball the next 2 years.
That's absolutely right. And if you believe that the obstruction of justice charge was part of a cover-up, then the commutation is an extension of it.
We'll come right back with Pat Buchanan to join the roundtable. I want to know whether he thinks that Scooter Libby deserves the G. Gordon Liddy Award for triumphing of the will. You're watching Hardball only on MSNBC. We're back with April Ryan of the American Urban Radio Networks, Norman Pearlstein, former editor-in-chief of Time Magazine, and MSNBC political analyst Pat Buchanan. Pat, it seems to me the big story for those of us who've covered politics for a long time and been a part of it is the amazing silence of Scooter Libby.
That's part of it, and that's very interesting, and that goes right to the question. Why did the President of the United States today interfere in a legal trial and do something he found deeply distasteful and hurtful? 3 explanations. 1, the war party, the neocons, demanded it as the price is staying behind him. 2, the Vice President of the United States went in and called in all of his chips for his buddy. 3, the president or someone in there feels that Scooter Libby behind bars is a walking time bomb.
And what do you lean toward as an assessment?
I lean toward 1 and 2. I think the vice president probably did say, look, Mr. President, this guy has gone to the wall for me for 10 years and for you. He fought our battle in the war. It's a rotten charge. It's the prosecutor was after him. He was out of control. And I think the neocons have been, and the Wall Street Journal, Weekly Standard, have been hammering the president so bad that he stepped up and said, I don't want to do this. It's going to hurt. It goes against my image and my beliefs, but I'm going to do it. And that's why you got that statement you did where he hammered Liddy personally.
Norman, when the president's proud of something, he goes to the Rose Garden, he calls all the press, he makes a statement in a beautiful sunshine. When he's embarrassed by something, haunted by it, he sneaks it out at night like a leak. What did you make of the way the president pardoned, or rather commuted the sentence of Scooter Libby?
Well, it was very late in the day, and it seemed to me that it was something he really wanted to get out and get behind him with as little damage as possible.
What's this going to do to press rights, this whole thing, Norman?
Well, I think it just brings forward the need for a federal shield law to try to protect journalists so that we don't have to get ourselves in a situation where a special prosecutor can come in and demand that we give up sources that are absolutely essential to our journalism.
Thank you very much for joining us, Norman Pearlstein. Thank you very much, April Ryan and Patrick Buchanan.